All right, y'all. So I am a New Yorker. Okay, you can tell because I can curse and still sound like a fucking lady, okay? But I was also a New York City bartender for 10 years. And you can tell because I can curse and still sound like a fucking lady. Do you understand? I'm a goddamn woman up here. Do you get it? So thank you. Whoever said nice, I'm here all night. Okay, here's the deal. I worked at a bar on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. It's been a bar for 100 years, and I was the first chick to work there since the 80s. Okay, like I was breaking the glass ceiling for pouring beers for you people. Okay, it was a good time. There was like me, there was the Irish guy right off the boat who sounded like he was like speaking poetry to you when he was hitting on you, and there was the other guy was like a typical New York City bartender. He was angry, he was moody, he had a master's in Marxist theory. I don't know why either, but it's fun. And then there was me, I was the chick. It was really fun. The thing with like New York bartenders is we have this like sort of reputation, and I wanna like talk you through it. I wanna make sure you understand. Everybody thinks that I could drink you under the table at any time. And everybody thinks that like I could take a different person home every night, right? And I want to be totally clear about this. That's 100% true. It's totally true. My 20s are a really good time, you guys. It was great, right? But I learned this rule from like the bartenders that I was taught from, and I was a baby bartender and learned this rule. And they told me, never have sex with patrons. Have secret sex with patrons, right? It's more fun, and you never lose any business. And so that's what I did for a long time. If you saw me naked, you were not allowed in this bar. If you asked me on a date, I would absolutely never say yes to you. Never, okay? The other rule that I learned is when you're bartending, tell everyone you're bartending because you're going to get bored. All right, so this one night, I put up on Facebook, I'm like, hey guys, everybody come hang out with me. I'm here till 4 a.m. And this guy writes on my Facebook status, he goes, no fair, I don't know where you work. And I went, hi, okay, I work at Ryan's Daughter, 85th and 1st, come say hi. And he goes, great, and that was it. And I was like, all right, whatever. And it was like a Friday night, and it was really busy, so I go about my business. And like an hour later, this dude walks in, and he sits down, and he goes, hey, Kim. And I went, hey, guy, because I had no fucking clue who he was. And he goes, it's Evan. And I was like, good for you. And he goes, like, from Facebook. And I was like, oh, Evan, hey, man, thanks for coming by. Really appreciate it. And he goes, cool. And I said, here's a beer. And I, like, walked away. About 2 seconds later, I went, wait a second. Evan, are you the guy with a blog about dating? And he's like, yeah, that's me. Because Evan was on this like year-long journey to go on 100 dates with 100 different women, and he was gonna blog about it. And that's how he was gonna make money. Okay, I know, it's really sad. I hear you saying, whatever, it's fine. It wasn't me, it's fine. So, these like dates had all of these rules. Like it was a blind date. It was a date going ice skating. It was a movie date. It was a date with a person from a foreign country. Like there were all these rules. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. Are you still doing that blog thing? And he goes, funny you should ask. Some of you are ahead of me. He goes, I'm up to my 100th date. And the 100th date is, I need to get a date with a bartender. And I've been striking out. And it's like, no shit, you've been striking out. Nobody goes on dates. We have secret sex with patrons. Keep up, Evan. This is the world you're in, okay? And I was like, no, sorry, Evan, I'm not doing that. And he goes, come on. And I was like, no. And he goes, well, you're my only hope. I'm down to the last couple days. I'm just going to sit here till you say yes. And I go, you go right ahead. And I proceed to get him very, very drunk. I don't charge him because I'm a fucking sweetheart, but I get him drunk, okay? And he's sitting around, and he goes, I really think you should go out with me. And I was like, Evan, shut up, I'm working. No, I'm not going to go out with you. And he's like, I think you should go out with me. I said, I think I know why all the other bartenders said no to you. And, like, we're going back and forth. And I was like, Evan, stop. But a bunch of, like, regulars hear him talking. And I'm going to call them, like, level 2 regulars. Like, they know my first name. They don't know my last name. Those kind of people. Like, when I left New York, they cried and said, I'm their best friend, and I was like, I don't even have your number. We're not best friends. Like, they're those people. You all know. Some of you are probably level 2. It's okay. Like, it's a safe space here. But they start to hear, and they're like, what's going on? And he's like, I want to ask out Kim. And they're like, oh, no, Kim never goes out with people. She's like, the ungettable get kind of thing. It doesn't happen. And he's like, well, I'm Evan, and I've got a date blog. And they start going, oh, man, Kim, you got to go out with this guy. And so, they start talking about it, and then these other regulars who I'll call, level 1, they've seen my comedy, all right? They're those people. They start hearing about it, and then suddenly, the whole fucking bar is talking about it, and all these drunks start yelling at me, date blog, date blog, date blog. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Absolutely not. And Evan is just soaking up, and he goes, go out with me. And they go, date blog. And he goes, go out with me. And it's becoming this whole thing. And part of me is this is really good for tips. Everyone is giving me a lot of money. And the other part of me goes like this, because secretly down inside this dark, shallow black hole of a heart, I am a deeply sentimental romantic, and I love a good rom-com, and I look for all of the movie moments in my life, and this was definitely it. So so I was like, I'm not gonna do it, and I start throwing coasters at him. Which is a real flirty bartender move. If people do it to you, I used to be able to throw it and get it. You know what? I'm just showing off now. I'm really good with coasters. But so I start throwing coasters at him, and then he's like, go out with me. And I was like, no. And he's like, go out with me. I said, no. And he goes, go out with me. And I throw it. And I was like, you should look at that coaster. And I walk away, and I've secretly put my name and my number down, and I go, fine, I'll go out with you, date blog guy. And I give it to him. That's a smooth fucking move. Let's be very clear. That's real good. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm going to send that to every ex-boyfriend. But, so a couple weeks later, we end up going out on this date, and I decide to give him the most bartender date I can think of. So I take him to this bar on the west side of Manhattan where I definitely know the bartender. Didn't tell Evan that I've made out with him a couple of times. Not important. Important is he knew who I was. So by the time we got to the bar, there's beers waiting for us, and we're getting free drinks all around, and everybody's coming up and being like, hey, Kim, who's your friend? I go, this is Evan, and he's soaking it up, and I'm being a total flirt, and there definitely was some thigh touching at some point, and then we decide to walk across Manhattan because I tell him I love the night air because I work at night, and we're walking down, and it's just fucking beautiful, okay? And we walk all the way across, and we get to the cab, and we have this really sensual hug, and I was like, well, you had your date with your bartender. He's like, I did, and I was like, okay, and I left, and I left thinking I have just given this man the greatest night of his life without having sex with him, and wow, that's a thing. Okay, I heard the silence. That's a thing, okay? And so it was perfect. 6 months after that, the blog comes out. Okay, and he starts blogging through, and I'm reading these beautiful blogs because Evan's got this way of talking about women that the way a woman wants to be talked about. He's really respectful of women and yet super sensual about women. He genuinely loves women, and he talks about their air of just creativity and sensuality, and you're like, oh my God, I love all of this. And Evan's cute, but not super cute, but the way he talks about women, he should get all the women. That's the guy he is, right? Right? A hipster without being a jackass. You get it. And so, yeah. So he's going through all of these, and I'm salivating at this point to get to this date because I just think it's going to be so perfect. And I get to, oh my God, I get to the summary of the date, and it says, Kim's a great girl. I know. It gets worse. Here's the thing. If he had said, if he had given a thing of, Kim was showboating and showing off and I couldn't handle her ego and it just wasn't great, I would have been fine, truth, I'll take it, one for the team, it's great. Here's what happened. He said, Kim's a great girl. I wish I remembered more, but it was just sort of unforgettable, or it was sort of forgettable. She's really nice, though, and I think I remember laughing at some jokes. I'm forgettable. Like, people come to New York to try to get in my pants. That's what my 20s was like, and I was forgettable to a guy with a blog. Like, that's not fair. That is not how life works. And I want to say that I'm over it. I want to tell you that I have a wonderful boyfriend, which I do. I want to tell you that I worked really hard to get him, which I did. But the fact that Evan, who never made money off of that blog, which for some reason stings me a little bit, and I don't know why, he forgot about me. I was like nothing except just a bartender, and like that stings, you guys. That like fucking hurts. I don't know. I don't bartend anymore. That's not the reason, but I'm gonna say it is. You know, I don't know. I'm going to be in the back having a drink. We could talk about it. I'll flirt with you. It's fine. It's great. I'm Kim Kalish. Thanks, you guys.
Kim Kalish, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for her.